I'm going to start this with a quick disclaimer that a lot of these are stories about terrible things happening to animals, so just be forewarned. I know that's something I don't really like to listen to. Wonka comes out this week, so in preparation, I read every Roald Dahl book. Sort of. I read the 27 that I could find. I was surprised how many I did not enjoy, but here we go, from worst to best. Coming in last place is Danny and the Champion of the World. This book is entirely a pro-poaching, hunting, and fishing story, and I'm extremely against all of those things, so needless to say that I hated this, especially as a children's novel. Number 26, The Witches. I hated the movie, so I wasn't surprised that I hated this as well. I was surprised at how much I despised it, though. I listened to the audiobook, which I think knocked this down at least 5 places on this list. The voices are annoying, poorly done witch voices almost the entire time, and I couldn't even understand most of it. The story is about how witches look like ordinary women, but they hate children, and for some reason the story is full of extreme hatred for mice. I hate it so much. Number 25, The Boy Who Talked with Animals. This is the second book that I read for this video, following ECO Trot, and I thought that would be the worst, but boy was I wrong. A group of awful people trap a turtle on a beach, and a boy runs over to try to save the turtle. The child can speak to animals and gets his dad to convince the evil fisherman to set the turtle free. Number 24 is George's Marvelous Medicine, a story that definitely would not be made as a children's story today. A young boy mixes a bunch of poisons together and swaps it out with his grandmother's medicine. Once he sees that it makes her grow, he starts using it on animals. I think it inspires animal testing, and I do not approve. Number 23, The Swan. Peter goes out with some boys who are all shooting animals, and he tries to stop them. The boys tie him to a train track, knowing he might die. He survives the train passing, and then flies away, and the boys shoot him, but he survives, and his mom finds him. I could be butchering the plot because I was tuning in and out, but that's what I got from it. Number 22, ECO Trot. Mr. Hoppy loves a woman, Mrs. Silver, but is worried about shooting his shot because she loves her pet tortoise more than anything. This one was only 34 minutes in audiobook format, which let me accelerate the speed and make it even shorter. It has a learning message that the transport of pet tortoises is dangerous, and that's not something I want to hear about. I love pets so much, and I love animals more than humans, but I don't believe in breeding, selling, and especially not capturing animals for humans' personal gain. Just let animals be free, or save ones that other people can't care for anymore. Number 21, Revolting Rhymes. I don't really see the point in this one. It's just a retelling of a few classic children's stories. Number 20, Boy, Tales of Childhood. A depressing autobiography of his childhood spent in a school for boys where he was whipped, paddled, and verbally abused. Not a fun read at all. Number 19, My Uncle Oswald. I don't understand why he wrote this. It's full of sex and not much plot other than that. Not my cup of tea at all. Number 18, The Magic Finger. An anti-hunting story with a girl who stops the horrendous sport with her finger snap. Anti-hunting still includes hunting, so I would not recommend this. Number 17, Dirty Beasts. This is a few short stories of dirty beasts that are mostly hungry. It's curious the amount of hungry creatures Roald Dahl writes about. I wonder if he's always hungry when he writes. Number 16, The Twits. A couple plays horrible pranks on each other until they disappear. The pranks are torturous and also harm animals, so this is not a favorite. Also anxiety-inducing hearing an old married couple hate each other so much that they've resulted to bullying each other this hard. Number 15, The Enormous Crocodile. A crocodile is going around trying to decide what he wants to eat, and it's surprisingly less full of bad animal tidbits than most of his other work. I think this one is more to aim at young children and tease them into thinking they'll be eaten. Number 14 is Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, an unnecessary sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I don't remember exactly why I didn't like this one that much, but I tend not to enjoy sequels that don't live up to the originals. Number 13 is James and the Giant Peach. James lives with 2 evil women until he finds a large growing peach full of talking insects one day, and he joins them to get away. This was the first really detailed book I had gotten to in this project, and I grew up watching the movie, but I can't get past the rough scenes with animals. I don't find the messaging interesting. I'm not sure of all of the levels of the messaging, but it definitely feels like it's trying to persuade you into not killing spiders. I wonder if anyone has changed their ways since reading this. Number 12, Going Solo. another autobiography, this time specifically focusing on his time in the war. It's written well and the ending is touching, but I don't agree with war in general, so it's hard for me to rank this. The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me. A cute short story of a giraffe, a pelican, and a monkey who utilize their unique features to run a window cleaning business. This is a bit of a mix of Willy Wonka and the Wizard of Oz. They each want something, one being to own a sweet shop, and they're all given their dreams. Number 10, the Mildenhall Treasure. A man finds treasure on his property, and where it's found, the law is that you can get paid 100% of its worth if you report it immediately, which he did not do. He wanted to keep the treasure just to have. He gets caught with it, and since it was reported late, he only got $1,000 of its $500,000 worth. A prime example of how fucked up the law is. Number 9, Escape Essentials. This is a collection of mystery stories for an old-time radio show. There are multiple authors for this, but I still included it because I had a great time experiencing it. Number 8, the BFG. A group of human-eating giants live in the world, but one is friendly. He goes around and gives people dreams. One night, a little girl sees him and he kidnaps her to have no witnesses, but they become friends. He finds out that she has no parents, and together they get the queen to capture the human-eating giants, and then the friendly one basically adopts the little girl. Number 7, Billy and the Minpins. Billy is a young boy who isn't allowed to go into the forest, so of course that's what he does. While there, he meets tiny creatures called the Minpins. It reminds me of the Borrowers and Where the Wild Things Are. It ends with a quote, "Those who don't believe in magic will never find it," and I believe in that so much. Number 6, The Hitchhiker. I didn't hate this one, but nothing stuck out to me, and I blinked and it was over. In this, a man picks up a hitchhiker, shows off the speed of his car, and gets pulled over by the police. He's issued a ticket, but the hitchhiker tells him not to worry about it because, as it turns out, he's what he calls a fingersmith, aka a pickpocket, and he's stolen both of the policeman's notebooks, so there won't be any record of their trouble after all. Number 5, Lucky Break, How I Became a Writer. This is a nonfiction short story of how Roald Dahl became a writer. He was in the war, and a writer asked to hear a story about his experiences with the war. Roald Dahl sent the man what he thought were notes, but the writer told him that what he submitted was the story as is, and gave him the payment for it, and thus began his writing career. A Piece of Cake. A pilot crashes into a desert in a war. I'm not sure if he dies or not, and was left confused, but I did enjoy it. Number 3, The Wonderful World of Henry Sugar. I got to this one after 5 bad and mediocre ones and was pleasantly surprised. A man called Henry Sugar learns to see without his eyes. He uses the skill to cheat at cards, and at first he starts throwing the money out to the public, but then another man tells him he should be donating it to orphanages, so he changes pace. He starts traveling around doing his scam, but everywhere he does this, he builds an orphanage. Number 2, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Willy Wonka has his chocolate factory closed off to everyone for years, but finally sends out 5 golden tickets to invite children into the factory and find the best one to take it over. This will forever be a favorite of mine. I love the entire song about throwing away your TV. If only he could see the world now, he'd be horrified. And coming in at number 1 is Matilda, one of my favorite movies growing up, and it stays pretty true to this book. Matilda is a young genius growing up in a mentally abusive home and gets sent to a school with a very sweet teacher, Miss Honey, who is a victim of abuse herself, and in a way they end up saving each other, even though both were very strong independently already. It's important for some children's entertainment to make being smart be cool, and I hope this stays popular for many generations. And that's all 27. It's an interesting experience to read the adult books that your favorite children's author had wrote. Not a great experience in this case, but it was interesting. Thanks for watching.